You still think you can hide behind daycare again? I'm not hiding, I said. I'm documenting. Keith's voice came through the phone like a smile you couldn't see. Document whatever you want. People remember what they feel, not what you print. Ben, my new manager, stood across from me in the hallway, watching my face. Everything okay? I didn't flinch. I didn't snap. I just ended the call and slid my phone into my pocket. Yeah, I said. I'm ready for stand-up. The elevator carried me up in silence, but my mind was loud. Not the messy, panicked loud I used to live in. This was sharper. Organized. Like I'd filed fear into folders and labeled them work, daycare, rent, past. Second day at the new company, and my old boss still found a way to reach into my morning. I could feel it in my throat. The old urge to react, to send a flaming email, to call back and scream, to make someone pay attention to how wrong this was. That version of me was younger, broken every way. She made noise because she thought noise meant power. Now I didn't make noise. I made notes. The lobby smelled like over-sanitized lemon and expensive coffee. The building was glass and calm, the kind of calm that didn't mean gentle. It meant controlled. People moved fast without bumping into each other, like they'd learned how to keep panic inside their bodies where it wouldn't get them fired. I swiped my badge and glanced at the time. 7:03. Not late, not early enough to relax either. Outside, my old sedan sat among the newer cars like a scuffed shoe at a wedding, rust freckles around the wheel wells, a cracked corner on the taillight, but the engine turned over every time, and that was more than I could say about most things in my life 2 years ago. I walked to my floor with my shoulders back, even if my stomach still felt tight from that call. Part of proving yourself wasn't just doing the job. It was looking like you belonged while you learned how. The open office was bright and quiet. Screens glowed. Keyboards clicked like rain. No yelling. No loud jokes. No supervisors stalking around with the hungry look my old job had trained into me. Still, I felt watched. Not in a cruel way. In a measured way. Here, people didn't waste energy on drama. They watched because they were deciding where you fit. Ben spotted me near the small conference room. Tall, shaved head, a face that stayed neutral even when he was unhappy. He didn't greet me like a friend. He greeted me like a person with responsibilities. You good to take tickets today? He asked. Yes, I said. One word, clean. No excuses. Yesterday I would have over-explained permissions still pending. Tool access incomplete. I didn't want to break anything. That was the old me, begging for understanding. The new me let performance speak. Ben nodded. Pair with Jenna for an hour. Then you're on the queue. If you get stuck, escalate fast. Escalate fast. Another rule I'd had to learn the hard way. At my old company, asking for help was seen as weakness. They liked you isolated, easier to blame, easier to push. Here, help was a tool. Use it or drown. Stand-up started. People gathered in a half circle and spoke in short updates like they were reading weather reports. Blocked by access, resolved. Ticket count trending up, need coverage. Deploy at 3, regression, risk low. I wrote down everything, not because it made me look busy, but because writing kept my thoughts from spiraling. I didn't need to understand every word today. I needed to catch patterns, learn names, track what mattered. When it was my turn, I didn't shrink. Maya, Ben said. I lifted my chin. Yesterday, onboarding, environment setup, reviewed last sprint incidents. Today, ticket queue, shadow Jenna, close what I can, escalate blockers. No extra story, no apology, no self-pity. Ben's eyes flicked to mine. A brief approval. He moved on. Jenna rolled her chair over after the meeting. She had a soft face that didn't look threatened by competence. Younger than me, but not childish. The kind of coworker who didn't collect gossip as currency. Hey, she said. Ready? As I'll ever be. I replied. She pulled up the queue. Rows of tickets with red labels, yellow warnings, timestamps like ticking bombs. This is the beast, she said. Don't let it scare you. Half of these are noisy, not urgent. We triage. Triage, I repeated, nodding. Prioritize impact. Confirm reproducibility. Document steps. Jenna blinked. Okay, you've done this before. Different place, I said. Same chaos. I didn't tell her that my last chaos came with intimidation, that my old manager used policy like a weapon. I didn't tell her I still had screenshots saved in a hidden folder on my phone, like I was hoarding proof in case the world decided to rewrite me again. Instead, I leaned in and asked, "What's your definition of urgent here?" Jenna smiled. "Thank you. Literally the best question. Urgent is customer impacting or production breaking. Everything else can wait." She showed me how they tagged, how they routed, how they wrote notes so no one had to guess later. The system was strict but not cruel. The kind of strict that let you breathe because expectations were clear. We worked through the first ticket together. I watched, then did the next, with her hovering close enough to catch mistakes. I made one too, a small one. I selected the wrong environment and got a test result that didn't make sense. Old me would have panicked, flushed, tried to hide it. New me froze for half a second, then corrected. "Hold on," I said, calmly. "That's in staging, not production. Let me rerun." Jenna didn't laugh. She didn't pounce. She just nodded. Good catch. That was the difference. Here, mistakes weren't moral failures. They were data. At 9:41, my phone buzzed. Daycare. My chest tightened instantly, but my hands stayed steady. I didn't jerk. I didn't gasp. I excused myself like a professional. "Give me 1 minute," I told Jenna, standing up. "I need to take this." I walked to the quiet corner by the windows, where the city looked like a map of bills and traffic. I answered. "Miss Carter?" The daycare staff said. "Just letting you know your daughter's okay, but she's had a rough morning, crying on and off. It's her second day, right?" "Yes," I said softly. "She keeps asking for you," the woman continued. "It's normal. If you want to call at lunch, we can put you on speaker for a minute." "I'll call," I promised. I ended the call and stared out at the parking lot far below, where cars looked like toys. For a moment, my mind tried to run in every direction. Guilt, fear, the unknown number texting me last night, the old manager's voice this morning. "Nice building. See you soon." I inhaled through my nose. Slow. Exhaled. Slower. I didn't let my thoughts drive. I pulled up my notes app and typed. Daycare called. Kid crying. Call at lunch. Keep working. That was how I survived now. I didn't fight emotions. I contained them. Back at my desk, Jenna looked up. "Everything okay?" "Yes," I said. "Daycare update. She's adjusting. Every fun. But test RU consents." Jenna's face softened. "My sister's a single mom. That first week is brutal." I nodded once. "Yeah, but we get through it. We." I didn't realize how long it had been since someone put me in the same sentence as "get through it," without judgment. Lunch came fast and didn't. People heated up food, talked about weekend hikes, said you should come sometime, like their free time wasn't an entirely different universe. I took a yogurt from my bag. Strawberry. On sale. Bought for my daughter, technically, but daycare had snacks and I hadn't eaten. I peeled the lid back and ate it slowly, listening to the low hum of conversation. Then I stepped into the stairwell and called daycare. My daughter's voice sounded tiny. "Mommy?" "Hi, baby," I said. "I heard you had a hard morning." A sniffle. "I want you." "I know," I said, keeping my tone steady even as my throat tightened. "But you're safe. You're with Miss Tasha, right?" "She's here," my daughter mumbled. "Okay," I said. "Listen to me. After you eat lunch and play a little, I'm coming, and we're going to have pasta." A pause. Then, deal. When I hung up, I rested my forehead against the cool concrete wall. Just for 3 seconds. Not long enough to fall apart, long enough to remember why I was here. Back at my desk, I closed 2 tickets on my own. Not perfect work, but clean, documented. Repro steps included. Next actions clear. Ben walked by around 5. He paused behind my chair, reading my screen without hovering like a predator. More like a coach checking a play. "How many did you close?" he asked. 3. I said. Ben nodded. Good. Tomorrow aim for 5. Don't get stuck alone, escalate fast. I will, I replied. He started to walk away, then stopped. Also, if anything from your previous employer shows up again, route it to HR and loop me in. We don't do games here. My fingers went still on the keyboard. He knew. Not all the details, maybe, but enough. Thank you, I said. 2 words this time. Ben left. Jenna packed up. People filtered out like the building was exhaling. I walked to my car, the sky already turning that tired winter orange. On the drive to daycare, my daughter was the only thing I let myself imagine. Her running into my arms, her warm weight against my shoulder, her sleep in the back seat. She did run. She did cling. She smelled like baby soap and finger paint. I held her tight, my cheek against her hair, and for a second the whole day softened. In the car, she fell asleep before the first stoplight, her mouth open, lashes dark against her cheeks. I glanced at her, then at my phone in the cup holder. A new notification lit up the screen. Unknown number. My thumb hovered, but I didn't tap it yet. Not while she was sleeping. Not while I was driving us home. I kept my eyes on the road, both hands on the wheel, and told myself I could handle one more thing. Then the phone buzzed again, like it wanted to prove me wrong. If you felt your stomach drop when that unknown number lit up Maya's screen, hit, like so, I know you're with her. Subscribe because the next chapter is where she finally opens the message and what it says might change everything. And comment one word, open, if you think she should read it now, or wait if you think she should protect her peace. You're really going to open it now? Jenna's voice was soft, but it hit me like a slap because it sounded like concern. Real concern. Not the fake kind people use to trap you. I didn't answer. I just stared at my phone on the desk, face down, like it could burn through the laminate if I looked too long. Ben walked past the row of desks with his usual calm, coffee in hand, and the whole floor moved like it always did. Quiet, focused, controlled. Nobody here raised their voice. Nobody here did drama. But my screen still felt hot from last night. Unknown number. 2 buzzes. A message I hadn't read. I'd driven home with both hands on the wheel like the road was the only thing I could trust. I'd carried my daughter upstairs while she slept, her cheek pressed into my shoulder, and I'd put her down in bed without turning on the overhead light because the bulb in the living room flickered and I kept telling myself I'd replace it when things were stable. Then I'd eaten crackers over the sink and finally opened my phone. The message was short. Tell your new boss the truth, or I will. That was it. No name. No explanation. Just a threat wrapped in a sentence, like whoever sent it knew exactly where to press. I didn't respond. I screenshot it. I dropped it into the hidden folder with the rest of my proof. Then I turned my phone off and watched the ceiling for an hour, while my daughter's little nightlight spun dots across the wall. In the morning, I didn't have time to be scared. Daycare drop-off, coffee, traffic, badge swipe, stand-up, tickets. Fear didn't disappear. It just learned to sit in the passenger seat and shut up. Now it was day 3, and I was back at my desk, trying to pretend my life wasn't balancing on the edge of an unread threat. Jenna pulled her chair closer. You don't have to tell me, she said, but you look like you didn't sleep. I didn't, I admitted. One small truth. Safe enough. She pointed at the ticket queue on my screen. You're still closing stuff. That's impressive. I exhaled slowly. Bills don't care how I feel. Jenna's mouth twitched into a smile, but it faded fast. Okay, today's going to be heavier. The queue's already spiking. I glanced at the red tags. She wasn't exaggerating. Overnight, customer reports had stacked up like laundry in a studio apartment. Too much, too fast, and no one was coming to rescue you. Ben clapped once, not loud, just enough to gather attention. Quick note, he said, standing near the aisle. We're seeing a surge from the West region. Focus on impact. Don't get married to one ticket. Triage, document, escalate. Then he looked straight at me for half a second. Not a stare, a check-in. My chest tightened, but I nodded like I belonged here. Because I did. I just hadn't earned that feeling yet. The first ticket I grabbed was labeled High Impact. The report was messy, full of screenshots and frustration. In my old life, I would have rolled my eyes, judged the user, complained under my breath. Now I read it like it mattered. Because it did. People paid money for this product. My paycheck came from that money. My daughter's daycare came from my paycheck. I reproduced the issue in staging, confirmed it was real, added clean steps, attached logs, assigned it to the correct component. My hands moved without panic. Muscle memory I didn't know I had. Jenna leaned over. Nice. Your notes are really clean. Clean notes save you later, I said. Who taught you that? I almost laughed. Nobody taught me. I learned it the hard way through meetings that felt like interrogations, through managers who twisted language until you doubted what you remembered. But I just shrugged. Experience. By mid-morning, I'd closed 2 tickets and routed 3. Not heroic, not perfect, but steady. Then I got stuck. A ticket kept failing in a way that didn't match the logs. I reran it. Same. I checked permissions. Verified environment. Still wrong. My throat tightened as that old instinct surged up. Hide it. Don't ask. Don't look stupid. Old me would have sat there, sweating, wasting an hour, hoping the problem magically solved itself before anyone noticed. New me opened a message to Ben with 3 lines. Blocked on ticket. 1,842. Repro confirmed. Logs don't match expected output. Suspect config mismatch. Can you advise on the correct baseline? I hit send before I could overthink it. 2 minutes later, Ben appeared at my desk like he'd been there all along. He didn't look annoyed. He looked curious. Show me, he said. I pulled up the data. Walked him through what I'd done. No defensiveness, no excuses. Just facts. Ben nodded. You did the right steps. The baseline changed last week. Documentation didn't catch up. Not your fault. Here's the updated config. He fixed it in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I felt a mix of relief and anger. Not at him. At the wasted time I used to spend suffering in silence, because silence was what I'd been trained to think was professional. Ben glanced at me. You escalated fast. Good. Allo, thanks, I said. Then he lowered his voice. Also, HR asked if you could forward anything else from your previous employer. They want a complete file. And John, there it was again. The past, slipping into the present like smoke under a door. My fingers went cold on the mouse. They contacted you? Not me directly, Ben said. They contacted HR. HR wants to make sure it's contained. Contained. Like it was a spill. Like it was something that could spread. I kept my face neutral. I have documentation. Send it, Ben said. And Maya? Yes? You're doing fine here. Don't let outside noise make you second-guess that. He walked away like he hadn't just handed me a lifeline. I stared at my screen for a moment, letting his words settle. Outside noise. At my old job, noise was the whole building. Here, noise was optional. You could refuse to let it in. At lunch, I ate a peanut butter sandwich at my desk because leaving the floor felt like losing momentum. I called daycare. My daughter was better today. Fewer tears, more play. That small update loosened something tight in my chest. After the call, I opened my hidden folder and looked at the screenshots. The threat message, the earlier texts, the email chain I'd saved from Keith. I forwarded the necessary parts to HR with a short note. Attached. Documentation regarding prior employer harassment and verification concerns. Timeline included. Please advise next steps. No emotion. No rant. No begging. No rant. No begging. No rant. Then I got back to work. That was my new rule. Do what needed to be done, then keep moving. The afternoon hit like a wave. More tickets, more pings, more people asking quick questions that assumed you already knew what you were doing. At 3:17, a deploy alert flashed. A brief freeze ran through the room, not panic, just attention sharpening. Jenna whispered, "Deploy days are spicy." I nodded. I can handle spicy. We monitored. A couple warnings, one issue that needed rollback. I wrote notes like my life depended on it, because in a way, it did. By 5:40, I'd closed 5 tickets. 5? Yesterday, Ben told me to aim for 5 tomorrow. I'd done it today. Not because I was a genius, Because I didn't waste energy fighting the reality. I focused on the next action, the next step, the next checkbox that kept my world from tipping over. As people packed up, Jenna swung her bag over her shoulder. You coming in early tomorrow? Yeah, I said. Daycare, drop off, then straight here. Jenna hesitated. Hey, about the message. I looked at her. What message? She lifted her eyebrows toward my phone. The one you didn't want to open. I held her gaze. I opened it, and I kept my voice low. It wants me to tell my new boss the truth. Jenna frowned. Truth about what? That's the thing, I said. It doesn't say. Jenna's eyes widened a little. That's creepy. It's leverage, I said, surprised at how calm I sounded. They want me off balance. Jenna stepped closer. Are you safe? I thought about my car in the parking lot, my apartment with the flickering bulb, my daughter's backpack on the floor, the hidden folder of screenshots like a tiny shield. I'm being careful, I said. That's what I can do. Jenna nodded slowly. Okay, if you need someone to walk you to your car, I can. I almost said no out of habit. Almost pushed away help because help used to come with strings. But I didn't. Thanks, I said. I might take you up on that sometime. When I got to daycare, my daughter ran to me without crying. She threw her arms around my legs and laughed, like yesterday's pain had evaporated into something smaller. On the drive home, she chattered about paint and crackers and a stuffed bear in the reading corner. Her voice filled the car like sunlight. I listened. I smiled. I let myself believe we were moving forward. But when I pulled into my apartment complex, I noticed something that made my hands tighten on the steering wheel. A car I didn't recognize sat across from my building. Engine running. Lights off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe. I carried my daughter inside anyway, her small hand in mine. I locked the door, checked the peephole. Then my phone buzzed. One new email from HR. Subject line. Need clarification? Did you ever sign anything you told us you didn't? My stomach dropped, slow and heavy, like an elevator cable snapping, because I hadn't signed. I was sure I hadn't. But someone was trying to make the world question what I knew. If you were in Maya's shoes right now, would you forward that threat message to Ben? Or would you keep it quiet and protect your job? Hit like if you want her to fight back. Subscribe, because Chapter 3 is when HR pushes harder, and comment, tell Ben, or stay quiet, so I know what you do. Why does your file say you resigned, effective immediately? I didn't. It also says you're not eligible for rehire. That's not true. HR's voice stayed polite, like she was reading the weather. If we can't verify this today, your access may be paused. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg. I just asked, can you tell me who submitted that update and what time it came in? By 10:12 a.m., I'd already closed 2 tickets, rerouted a third, and fixed a configuration mistake I would have panicked over a week ago. My hands moved like I belonged here, even when my brain still felt like it was catching up. The office was steady, controlled. People didn't hover. They didn't gossip loud. They just worked. That calm used to scare me. At my old job, noise was constant. Here, silence meant focus. Silence meant respect. Silence meant nobody had time to babysit you. I was getting used to it. Then the HR call hit my calendar, like a dent you don't notice until you open the car door. Quick check-in, the invite said. No details. Just a 15-minute block with a name I'd only seen on onboarding paperwork. Marisol from People Ops. I stepped into a small phone booth with a sliding door and a stool bolted to the floor. The air inside smelled faintly like disinfectant and someone's peppermint gum. My badge lanyard felt too tight around my neck. Marisol's face appeared on the screen. She was in a bright office with a plant behind her and a neutral smile that could mean anything. Hi, Maya, she said. Thanks for hopping on. Of course, I replied. 2 words. Steady. Marisol glanced down, then back up. This is about employment verification. Going fine. Oplixly. My stomach dipped, but my voice stayed level. Okay, we received an update this morning from your previous employer. she continued. It changes the information we already had. I didn't move. I didn't blink too long. I let her talk. Previously, we had your resignation date as Friday, with standard notice, Marisol said. Now their HR system indicates effective immediately and notes ineligible for rehire. I felt heat creep up my neck. Not embarrassment, anger. The old kind, the kind that used to push me into stupid decisions. I kept my hands flat on my thighs so they wouldn't shake. That's incorrect, I said. Marisol nodded once. Do you have documentation? Yes, I said. Email chain, timeline, screenshots. Okay, Marisol said. Here's the issue. Our compliance team flags changes like this. We need clarification in writing from your previous employer or evidence that the change is disputed before end of day. My mind tried to sprint to worst-case scenarios. Access pause meant no work. No work meant probation failure. Failure meant no paycheck. No paycheck meant rent gets late, daycare gets missed, lights get shut off, and suddenly we're back to counting quarters in the couch. I swallowed. What do you need from me right now? That question, simple, direct, was something I learned after years of arguing with people who didn't care. You don't win by spilling your feelings. You win by making the next step unavoidable. Marisol's expression softened a little. Send me the documents you have. Also, do you recall signing anything that could explain the immediate effective date? A separation agreement? A performance notice? Anything? I thought of Keith's email, the one that tried to force my signature. The one that said my final pay might be delayed if I didn't complete paperwork. I didn't sign, I said. Are you sure? Marisol asked gently. That gentle tone can be dangerous. It invites doubt. It makes you recheck your memory, like you're the unreliable one. I'm sure, I said, and I meant it. If I had signed, I would have a copy. I requested one. I never received one. Marisol made a note. Okay. Who was your manager there? I hesitated. Saying his name felt like giving him oxygen. Keith, I said. Keith Morrow. Marisol's eyes flicked as if she recognized something. Maybe she'd already read the initial verification notes. Maybe she'd seen a pattern. Thank you, she said. One more question. Are you aware of anyone attempting to contact you or the company about you? My throat tightened around last night's text. Tell your new boss the truth, or I will. I didn't want to sound paranoid. I didn't want to look unstable. I didn't want to be the problem hire. But I'd promised myself I wouldn't hide in silence anymore. Yes, I said. I received a message from an unknown number. It referenced my new job. Marisol's posture changed. Not alarm, but attention. Can you forward that as well? She asked. Yes, I said. I can. When the call ended, I sat still for a second, listening to my own breathing in the tiny booth. My heart was pounding, but it wasn't controlling me. That was the difference now. 2 years ago, I would have stormed into a bathroom and cried until my face swelled. Or I would have called my mom and unloaded everything at once, then felt guilty when she got quiet and tired. Today, I opened my laptop and built a file. I titled it Verification Dispute Timeline. I included dates, screenshots, email headers, and my own notes written like a police report. Objective, boring, undeniable. At 11:06 a.m., I sent the packet to Marisol. No emotional paragraphs. Just facts and attachments. Then I went back to the ticket queue. Because if someone wanted to knock me off balance, the best revenge was not giving them the satisfaction. Jenna rolled over around lunch. You disappeared, she said quietly. You okay? I'm handling something with HR, I replied. Her eyes narrowed. Your old company again? Mom, I nodded once. Jenna exhaled like she'd been holding her own breath. That's messed up, I shrugged. It's noise, Jenna stared at me. You're really calm for someone dealing with that, I almost laughed. Calm wasn't my natural setting. Calm was built, paid for with nights I didn't sleep, and mornings I cried quietly in the car so my daughter wouldn't see. I wasn't always, I admitted. I learned. Jenna leaned back. Well, if you need anything, I'm here. I didn't push her away. Thanks, I said. I mean it. The afternoon was brutal. A deploy went sideways, the queue spiked, and the team moved like a machine under stress, fast, precise, no wasted motion. Ben checked in once. "You good?" he asked, voice low. "I'm good," I said. I escalated the HR issue. "Sent documentation." Ben nodded. "Keep me looped. Your work today has been solid." Solid. That word settled in my chest like something warm. Not praise, proof. At 4:27 p.m., Marisol emailed back. Subject: urgent. Follow-up needed. My fingers hovered over the trackpad for half a second. I clicked. "We contacted your previous employer's HR to confirm the discrepancy. They claim there is a signed document in your file acknowledging immediate resignation and rehire ineligibility. They have not provided the document yet." My vision narrowed. The booth felt too small again, even though I wasn't in it anymore. "They claim there is a signed document." I read the sentence 3 times. It didn't change. I hadn't signed. I knew I hadn't signed. I remembered the moment clearly, Keith sliding the papers across the table, his voice soft with threat. Renee squeezing my knee under the chair like a warning. I'd pushed the papers back. I'd walked out with my hands empty. So how did a signed document exist? My mind jumped to the ugliest possibility and tried to pull me under. Forgery, or a document with a signature copied from somewhere else. A digital signature, a scanned form, something designed to make me look like a liar. I closed my eyes. One inhale, one exhale. Then I did what the old me never would have done. I replied immediately, "Thank you for the update." I did not sign any document acknowledging immediate resignation or rehire status. I am formally disputing the validity of any document presented as my signature. Please request a copy and the metadata: date, time, method of signature, witness, HR, rep present. I am also requesting that my access not be paused while this dispute is investigated, as my performance to date has been strong and documented. I read it twice before sending. No anger, no panic, just a line in the sand. Then, because I knew how games worked, I did something else. I called Renee. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, what's up?" I kept my voice low, controlled. "They're claiming there's a signed document in my file. Immediate resignation. Ineligible for rehire." A pause. Then Renee's tone sharpened. "Do they have a copy?" "Not yet," I said. Renee exhaled. "Okay. We don't freak out. We get evidence. You still have the original email chain?" "Yes." "Good," she said. "Also, check your old HR portal. Sometimes they upload PDFs without notification." "I don't have access," I said. "They locked me out." "Of course they did," Renee muttered. "All right. Screenshot everything you can. Save it in 2 places. And Maya? Yeah? If they produce a signed document, don't argue about it on the phone. Ask for it in writing. Ask how it was signed. Ask who witnessed it. People who forge hate details." I felt my throat tighten. Not fear this time. Gratitude. "Thanks," I said. After work, I picked up my daughter and brought her home. She ate pasta at the little folding table in the kitchen while I washed dishes with one hand and checked my email with the other. The overhead light flickered twice, like it was trying to warn me about something. At 9:11 p.m., after she fell asleep, a new email arrived from Marisol. Subject: document received. My finger hovered over it, and before I could click, my phone buzzed with a new text from the unknown number. "Check your email. That signature looks real, doesn't it? If you were Maya, would you open that HR attachment alone tonight? Or would you wait until morning and bring Ben into it? Comment, open it or wait and hit, like if you want chapter 5, where we finally see what's inside that document." "Don't open it alone," Renee said. "If it's forged, you need witnesses. It's 9 at night." I whispered, staring at the email subject line like it could bite. "HR wants an answer." Ben's voice came through my headset, calm even this late. "Maya, I'm on. Share your screen. You're sure?" My hand hovered over the trackpad. "I'm sure," he said. "Whatever this is, you're not carrying it by yourself." I didn't tell him my chest was tight. I didn't tell him my fingers were numb. I just clicked the attachment. The PDF loaded with the kind of clean formatting that made lies look official. Company letterhead. My old company's logo. A title in bold. Voluntary resignation agreement. My name typed perfectly. My employee ID. A date 2 weeks ago stamped like a verdict. And at the bottom, a signature. My signature. It looked like mine in the way a counterfeit bill looks real until you hold it to the light. The first letter had the same loop. The last name slanted the same direction. But the pressure was wrong. The curve was too smooth, too confident. Like someone traced it, my mouth went dry. Ben leaned closer to his camera. Scroll. I scrolled. There it was in black and white. I hereby resign effective immediately. I acknowledge I am not eligible for rehire. I understand this resignation is voluntary and not related to any dispute or complaint. That last line was the punch to the throat. They weren't just trying to end my job. They were trying to erase my truth. I felt something old rise up, hot, reckless, desperate to explode. Old Maya would have slammed her laptop shut and called Keith until her throat burned. She would have sent an email full of rage and sarcasm and then spent the next week regretting every word. New Maya didn't move. I stared at the signature and forced my voice out steady. That's not mine. Renee's voice came through my phone speaker. Say it again. Clearly, Ben nodded. For the record, I swallowed. That signature is not mine. I did not sign this document. Ben didn't react like I was dramatic. He reacted like a manager protecting an employee from something wrong. Okay, he said. We're treating this as disputed and potentially fraudulent. Do not contact your previous employer directly. I'm going to loop Marisol and legal. My eyes burned, but I blinked it back. Tears didn't fix rent. Renee added, Maya, take screenshots of the whole PDF, then download it, save it in 2 places. Email it to yourself. Timestamp everything. I did exactly that. Hands moving like I was following a recipe. Screenshot, save, rename, file with date and time, attach to email draft, BCC, my personal account. My apartment was quiet, except for the refrigerator hum and the soft glow of my daughter's nightlight in the next room. The overhead bulb in the kitchen flickered once, as if it was tired too. Ben's voice stayed calm. I'm sending an email now. You'll reply with a short statement. No emotion, just denial of signature and request for signature metadata. He typed while I watched. Subject. Urgent. Disputed document, signature authenticity concern. Body, brief, clean, professional. Requesting the method of signature, timestamp, IP address, audit logs, who was present, who uploaded it, and a full copy of the original file, not a scan. He included one sentence that made my throat tighten in a different way. Maya's performance and conduct here have been exemplary. We will not pause her access while this matter is reviewed. Nobody had ever written a sentence like that for me before. At my old job, managers used words to trap you. Here, my manager used words to protect you. Ben said, reply now. I copied his structure and wrote, I did not sign this document. I formally dispute the authenticity of the signature and request the signing audit trail and metadata. I also request confirmation of how and when this file was generated and uploaded. Then I hit send. My phone buzzed immediately. Unknown number. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. I already knew it would try to pull me off balance. Instead, I turned the phone face down like it was nothing but noise, and I opened a new note on my laptop titled, What I Know. 1. I did not sign. 2. I did not receive a copy. 3. I was present when Keith tried to force paperwork. 4. Renee witnessed me refusing. 5. I have email proof of coercion, facts, anchors. I sat back and realized my shoulders were tense up by my ears. I forced them down, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Renee spoke softly now. You're doing the right thing. I'm tired, I admitted, voice low. I know, she said, but you're not alone. And they picked the wrong version of you to mess with. That landed somewhere deep. 2 years ago, I would have felt small, like someone could rewrite me with a document, and everyone would believe it because I didn't have money or power or the right words. Now I had something stronger than anger. I had stability forming, slowly, like concrete setting, and I had boundaries. I glanced toward the hallway where my daughter slept. Tomorrow morning, she'd wake up and ask for cereal and cartoons like the world was simple. She'd want me to tie her shoes and brush her hair. She didn't care about HR, metadata, audit logs, or rehire status. She cared that I came back. So I did one more thing before bed. I laid out her clothes for the morning leggings. A warm hoodie, socks that matched, because she liked that. I packed her daycare bag with an extra snack and her favorite little stuffed bear with one ear bent. Action, not speeches. Then I went back to my laptop and checked for a response. Nothing yet. But the silence didn't feel like a trap. It felt like a pause before the next move. I shut the laptop finally and walked to my bedroom. My phone buzzed again on the kitchen counter. Unknown number. This time, I didn't ignore it. I picked it up, not to respond, never to respond, but to document. I opened the message. A single line. You can't prove you didn't sign. Tomorrow they'll believe me. My heart thumped once, hard. Then I took a screenshot, dropped it into my folder, and set my phone down. Because proving wasn't about arguing. It was about evidence. And tomorrow, I was walking into that office with my head up like I belonged there. Because I did. When I turned off the light, my daughter's nightlight still spun soft dots across the wall. I watched them for a second and thought about that fake signature, how close it came to looking real, how quickly it could have wrecked everything. Then I remembered Ben's words. You're not carrying it by yourself. I didn't know what my old company would try next, but I knew I wasn't running. And in the morning, I was going to find out exactly who uploaded that document and how far they were willing to go. If you're still here, hit like because Chapter 6 is where the audit trail comes back and someone's name finally shows up. Subscribe and share this with a friend who's ever had to fight quietly to keep their life together. And tell me in the comments, do you think Keith forged it himself? Or did someone inside HR help him? So, the signature was done online? Yes, Marisol said. E-signed. And the IP address? Ben asked. Marisol hesitated just long enough to make my skin go cold. It traces back to your previous employer's network. Renee's voice came through my phone speaker, sharp and steady. Say that again. Slowly. Marisol looked straight into the camera. It was signed from inside their building. I didn't gasp. I didn't cry. I just felt something settle in my chest like a weight finally finding its place. Not relief. Not yet. More like confirmation. They didn't just want me to doubt myself. They wanted everyone else to doubt me too. The next morning, I dropped my daughter off at daycare with a smile I practiced in the car. She hugged my leg longer than usual, but she didn't cry. Progress. I kissed her forehead, tucked her bent-ear stuffed bear under her arm, and told her I'd be back after work. Then I drove to the office with my coffee in the cup holder and my fear folded up small in the glove compartment. By 8:10 a.m., I was in another meeting room, this one reel, not a phone booth with Ben beside me and Marisol on the screen again. Someone else joined too, camera off, name tag reading, Legal S. Patel. No small talk. No fake warmth. Just business. Marisol shared her screen and pulled up a report that looked like a spreadsheet tried to become a weapon. Here's what we have, she said. The document was generated in their HR system and sent through an e-sign platform. Signature timestamp, 8:52 p.m. last night. IP address. Corporate network registered to your previous employer. Signing device. Desktop browser. Ben's voice was calm, but the edge was there. Maya was not in their building at 8:52 p.m. No, I said. I was home. My daughter was asleep by then. Can you prove your location? Marisol asked, not accusing, just collecting. I can, I said. Daycare app checkout time. My phone location history. My building's security camera in the lobby might show me coming in. Renee made a small sound, approving. Good. Legal's voice finally came on. Miss Carter, have you ever used e-sign with your previous employer? Yes, I said. For onboarding. W-4. Direct deposit. Policies. Did you ever use it for resignation? Legal asked. No, I said. He tried to force paperwork in person. I refused. Ben leaned forward. Do we have proof she refused? I nodded. Emails? And Renee witnessed it. Marisol clicked to another page. One more thing. The eSign audit trail includes a recipient email address. It's listed as yours, but the delivery record shows it was open from their network. My stomach tightened. That wasn't just forgery. That was control. Renee's voice turned hard. They intercepted the process. Marisol continued. We also see an IP from a second viewer. Someone accessed the document before it was signed. Ben asked, who? Marisol zoomed in. The audit trail labels the viewer as an administrator account. The name attached is K. Morrow, E.A. Keith. Seeing his name on my new company's screen felt like watching a stain spread across a clean shirt. It didn't matter that he wasn't physically here. He was still trying to reach into my life. My hands stayed folded on the table. I could feel my pulse, but it wasn't driving. Old me would have exploded right there. I would have thrown words like knives and hoped someone bled. New me kept my voice even. So he generated it, opened it, and signed it. Legal spoke carefully. It appears the process originated with him. Yes, Ben's jaw tightened. Marisol, I want this in writing. Full audit logs, timestamps, and IP trace. Also, Maya's access stays active. Agreed, Marisol said. We're not pausing her access. I exhaled, slowly, like I'd been holding my breath for days without noticing. Then Marisol said the sentence that changed the room. We also received a call this morning, she added. From your previous employer's HR. My eyes lifted. About what? They asked whether you're still employed here, Marisol said. And whether we consider you high risk. My throat tightened. They weren't just defending their lie. They were trying to poison my future in real time. Ben's voice was quiet, dangerous. Did they identify who they were? Yes, Marisol replied. An HR generalist named Dana Whitcomb. She said she was concerned you were misrepresenting your separation. Renee let out a short laugh with no humor. Concerned. Right. Legal spoke again. This is now potentially defamation and interference. We will handle communication. Maya, do not respond to them directly. If you receive messages, document. No replies. I nodded. Understood. Ben looked at me. His eyes were steady, not pitying. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. That mattered more than I wanted to admit. The meeting ended, and I went back to my desk like nothing happened. That was the weird part about survival. You can have your life threatened at 8:30 and still be expected to fix a ticket by 9. The queue was heavy. Deploy day, a new wave of issues from the West region. I took the hardest ticket I could reasonably touch and started working. Not to prove anything to Keith, to prove something to myself. I wrote clean notes. I escalated early. I closed 3 tickets before lunch. When I got stuck, I asked Jenna, then asked Ben. No shame, no hiding. Jenna watched me for a second and said, "You're different today." I didn't look up. Different how? Like, calmer, she said. Like you already decided you're not going to lose. I paused, hands still on the keyboard. I decided I'm not going to help them make me lose. Jenna nodded slowly. That's the smartest thing I've heard all week. At lunch, I didn't eat in the kitchen. I sat in my car with a peanut butter sandwich and called daycare. My daughter laughed into the phone today. Full laugh, like her body finally believed I was coming back. That laugh was worth more than the number on my paycheck. After the call, I opened my banking app and transferred a small amount into a savings account labeled Cushion, $10. Not impressive, but it was $10 that didn't exist a month ago. $10 that said we were moving forward, even if someone behind us was throwing rocks. That night, when I picked up my daughter, the daycare worker smiled. She had a good day, she said. No tears. My daughter ran to me with her arms open like the world didn't have HR disputes or audit trails or forged signatures. I lifted her and felt her warm weight against my chest. At home, I made pasta twisty kind, like I promised, and sprinkled cheap Parmesan over it. We ate at the small folding table. She told me about paint and blocks, and a boy who stole her cracker and got in trouble. After she fell asleep, I checked my email. There it was. From Marisol. Subject: Update. Verification matter contained for now. Contained. For now, I opened it. They had the audit trail. They had the IP. They had Keith's name. They had enough to call the forgery what it was without saying the word out loud. But the last paragraph made my stomach tighten again. We are advising you. If you feel unsafe or notice anyone approaching your workplace or daycare, notify us immediately. We cannot confirm whether external contact will continue. External contact. That was their polite way of saying, he might not stop. I closed the laptop and stood in the quiet kitchen, listening to the refrigerator hum. The overhead bulb flickered once, then steadied. I thought about how much I'd changed in just a few days at this job, not because the job made me stronger, because I finally stopped feeding the fire with my reactions. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One new message. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a photo. A blurry picture of my daughter's daycare building. And underneath it, 5 words that turned my blood cold. Tell them to drop it. If that photo just made your heart stop, hit like right now so I know you're still with Maya. Comment police if you think she should report it immediately, or HR first if you think she should take it to Ben and Legal before anything else. And don't forget to subscribe and share the channel, because the next chapter is where we find out who took that photo and how close they really are.